Today we're going to help you improve in Rainbow Six Siege by taking a close look at Mute. We're going to go over his loadout options, use of his signal jammers and some really useful do's and don'ts. All this coming right up.
2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Enough is Enough. I'm Ace of Pyrite and I'm here with you for another episode of the Operator 101 guide. We're going to be taking a look through this series at all the operators in the game, and today the spotlight falls on Mute. Now, Mute is a defender that I've used quite a lot. I've got sort of 35 hours plus. He was one of the first mains that I took really when I got into Siege. He's quite basic in his operation, very easy to use, but also can offer a lot of depth to a team and offer a lot of options as well, even bringing other operators like Castle into the team and making them a bit more viable. So what we're going to do is, as we did on the Frost episode and we'll do in all episodes moving forward, we're going to break down the bio, look at his basics, we'll have a look at his loadout options, and we'll follow to operation of his gadgets and any sort of tips and tricks that I can offer, and also any what not to do's, anything that might be detrimental to your team. First up then, we'll take a look at Mute's bio. We can see there that he's part of the British CTU, which is the SAS, which stands for Special Air Service, for those who maybe don't know. Real name Mark Chandar, nickname Mute, and he is a specialist in shutting down electronics. Flipping across to the details and statistics screen, we can see there that he achieves this by using the GC90 Moni signal disruptor. So Mute is looking specifically to close down any electronics that use a signal. So you're talking about breaching charges, thermite charges, Hibana pellets, drones, things like that. He doesn't work on things like Blitzer's shield, because my understanding of that is that his flash on his shield is a wired gadget, so it's not using any signal, so there's nothing to disrupt. The signal disruptors look a little bit like a Wi-Fi router or similar, and you put them down on the floor and then it gives you a red area of sort of interference, and we're going to have a much better look at that in a custom game very shortly. Down at the bottom there you can see that his physical stats come in at a 2 armor, 2 speed operator, so very similar to Frost that we looked at last time. He can roam outside of the objective. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that too heavily, but we'll get into that a little bit more as to why later on in the video. He's very good as an objective anchor. Again, his gadgets support that, and we'll go over that as well. Now, I've saved the best function to last with Mute. Almost definitely the most important thing that he's going to do on your team is shut down any fuses game. Because the fuse charge is remotely detonated, again, the signal disruptors will stop that working, so he can offer some real peace of mind if you know that the enemy team is playing with a fuse operator. That just about wraps it up for the basics on Mute. Moving along then, we'll have a look at his loadout options. The first weapon available to Mute is the MP5K submachine gun. It's a close range 9mm submachine gun, as you can see there. The menu damage on there is 29 and it's got a very high fire rate of 800. It's a very mobile gun, very quick to move, and I know that the damage drop off is at 15 meters, so similar to Frost, it's quite a short damage drop off range. The next gun available to Mute is the M590A1 shotgun, 12 gauge pump action shotgun. Not something that I use personally. The damage is there quite high, 45 menu damage, but obviously a very slow fire rate of just one shot and then pump for the next shot. Again, it depends on your playstyle really. If you're playing heavy anchor in the objective, then the shotgun can be a very good option. Also offers, you know, a lot of options for your team to get out there and open walls up, open lines of sight, but again, that really does depend on the game mode that you're playing. For secondary options, Mute only has one option, which is the P226 Mark 25 handgun, which is just a standard sort of pistol. Again, quite a high damage, 53 on the menu damage there, so reasonably good. Not a massive rate of fire, just sort of a standard pistol really. It's the only option you've got, so it's the one that you're going to be taking. And then for his gadgets, Mute has two options, as does everybody. He can take a nitro cell or he can take a deployable shield. It really depends. There's no immediate benefit that I can see for Mute's gadget, for his special gadget to benefit from those, so it really depends what else you've got on your team, sort of fill in that utility slot. Is a deployable shield useful? Maybe if you've got a Frost on there, that then allows Frost to bring barbed wire, so it's just about considering all those different options. Nitro cell can can be very useful on bomb to allow you to open up rotation holes. Finally then, before we get into a game, let's just have a quick look over my loadout of choice. I go with the primary weapon as the MP5K, and I use that with a muzzle brake and holographic sight. Personally, I choose the holographic sight because it gives the least obstruction to your screen, so basically there is more of your screen left available with the holographic sight than with any other option. Secondary weapon, no choice, go with the P226 Mark 25 handgun, and then as the gadget, like I said, it really depends on the team you're playing with. I generally have mine preset to nitro cell because there's always the chance of a kill with a nitro cell, and you can use it, you know, wisely to disrupt planting or to create rotation holes. Alternatively, if I feel it's useful for the team, then I'll swap that to a deployable shield. Okay, so now we've covered the basics, let's move on to my loadout in a little bit more detail. And we'll have a look first of all at the recoil. Moving over to the walls that I usually use down in Hereford base, we'll have a look first by switching the MP5 onto burst fire, and we'll just hit this wall with a full mag and see what the recoil looks like. So as you can see, there's not an awful lot of recoil, again similar to Frost's weapon really, but if we have a look at the full auto on the taller section of wall, you can see there that again it's moves rapidly upwards, and this time we've got quite a bit of skew to the right hand side. So again, as I said last time, it's just about being aware of what your gun's going to do when you press that trigger so that you can account for it in your aiming. Next up, we've got the section where I get to take a few shots at X. What we're demonstrating here is the damage drop off for the weapon. So there is one damage figure underneath 15 meters and one damage figure for anything beyond 15 meters. We're attacking Thermite here, who is an armor 2 operator, so I would expect to do 26 hit points of damage per shot, as he's at 7 meters, so that should be a 4-shot kill. There we go. Once again, whilst we're doing this demonstration, we've got figures displayed up in the top left corner that are just telling you how much damage and how many shots to kill it is at each distance for each armor operator. We've got X out there beyond that 15 meter drop off now. You can see if I put the marker up, he's at about 20 meters. So we'll take some shots. I'm expecting to see 21 damage per shot. So we're looking for a 5-shot kill. There we go, that's 5 shots to kill. And what I'm hoping to give you an idea of there is how much damage you're doing to operators at different distances, so you can give your teammates a good call out of roughly how much damage you've done. That brings us nicely onto the equipment phase of Mute. So we're going to go over how to use his special equipment, from the basics of setting the jammer and the area of effect, and then we'll have a look at some more advanced locations and methods of placing the jammers. Much the same as the gadgets on other operators, you simply use your special gadget button to place. You see there, whilst I'm holding it aloft, it's got a red ring around it, and that's going to be the area of effect. So any drones or electronics that require a signal within that area, or anything touching that area, as you're going to see, is going to stop those electronics working. Now, mute jammers can be taken out by twitch drones or thatcher grenades or direct shots, so you've got to try and protect them from that. And I try to think of them in two sort of phases, if you will. What I'm going to do here initially is I'm going to show you some examples of locations that you can put them to maybe stop drones during the preparation phase finding the objective. So what I'm doing is just putting them in front of any sort of external entrances, bottom of stairs, the bottom of the ladders here, and that's hopefully going to stop any drones being able to penetrate this level of the building and find the objective. Now, once you get in towards the end of the preparation phase, it's time to run round, get those picked up, again by holding the button displayed on screen, and you can recollect them up and go and reposition inside the objective or to more strategic locations. One point that I'm going to make here is that's not a great place to put a mute jammer. I've done it purposefully. As you can see, there's a clean line of sight under the door, so it's going to be easy for somebody to duck down and get a shot on that and take it out. So what I would recommend is get it right over there at the side of the door. The red ring is still covering the doorway, so it's going to stop any breaching charges or drones or anything like that, but it's going to make it much safer and a much tighter angle to be able to take that jammer out. Likelihood is it's going to take a twitch drone or a thatcher to do it. So as you can see here, I've pre-reinforced some walls. That's the sort of target that Hibana or Thermite dream of. They're looking for that to be either unprotected by bandits or mutes. Now, mute does have the advantage over bandit in that if you place your mute jammer here at the join of two reinforced walls, you're actually covering both reinforced sections there. So as you will see, both of those units are now covered, and if I pop a jammer down in this corner, as I've shown there, that's going to cover those two. So with only two jammers, I'm covering up about 90% of this long wall, whereas bandit would take one battery for each section. It is something that I see from new mute players quite often, is putting one jammer per section of wall, so hopefully it might take the shackles off for a few of you and you can get those two walls covered and just spread your use a little bit further. Ultimately, try and get creative with your mute jammers. Don't feel that you're always stuck in the objective. Have a look at the popular external walls, or even within the objective, like in Oregon. See if there's somewhere you can maybe place it up a bit higher and block up a hatch or something like that. There are many different uses for the mute jammers. Now we'll move on and try to prove or disprove something that I've always wondered about and only just got round to testing. We're looking at the potential use of a jammer on what we might call a, I don't know, maybe call it a reverse corner, where the walls are running away from you. So if you, I know this is external to an objective room, but if you've got this inside an objective room, does placing a jammer like that cover both panels? So we've got X's thermite here and he's trying to jam. You can see he's working on his remote control there furiously and he's not getting any joy, so it is jammed on that panel. Let's try the left hand side. X will get it on there. He's trying a bit closer over to the edge this time, and again you can see he's using that remote control there and nothing. So let's just nip round onto the inside. So the answer at this point, I suppose, is that both panels are covered by that jammer, so whether they're placed on the inside of the wall or the outside doesn't matter. So that's really good. So if you've got a corner like that inside an objective, you know you can cover both. Now X is going to place this next thermite charge on the sort of barrier, if you will, on the border of the two, and let's see what happens. So he's managed to avoid the jammer there, and quite interestingly he's actually blown out 90% of that reinforcement. So that's one thing to be aware of. If you're going to cover a corner like that, make sure you get another jammer further along the wall. You can see how little of that thermite charge is actually touching the reinforcement there, and if X can detonate that for us, then again let's see if it has the same impact, and yes, it's blown out about 80-90% of that reinforcement. So that is a valuable lesson to learn. You need to get your mute jammers along the length of the wall, because a charge at the very edge is maybe going to take a large portion of that reinforcement out. A little something to learn for the thermite mains as well out there from the outside looking in. You know, get your charges down on the very edge, give it a chance, you might just get away with it. The final thing we've got for you today, as always, is what not to do with an operator or ability. There's two things I can think of with mute. One first is very quick. Make sure you avoid bandit batteries, because they will destroy, if something's electrified, it will destroy your mute jammer if you put it down. The second is about placement of mute jammers. Now, if you're playing with a frost on your team, please, please, please make sure not to put your mute jammers in the middle of windows like that. You're going to frustrate that frost like you would not believe. Put them over to one side. Think about where your placement is. So here you'll notice I'm being very careful. It's off to the side of the window there, so there's plenty of room left underneath that window for a frost to get a welcome mat down, but I've also avoided that drone hole so it can't be shot out through the drone hole, giving sort of easy access to drones. Other than that, I would say just go and have a go. Make sure castle windows are always muted, castle doors are muted, because they are like a magnet for fuse. Other than that, you know, make sure that the popular walls, the ones that you've seen breached time and time again, make sure that you prioritise covering them. Other than that, just have a go, get yourself anchored down in the objective and just enjoy absorbing that pressure for your team. That's everything we've got for you on mute today. Hopefully it's going to be useful and it's going to help you feel more comfortable in playing mute. I know that the video has been a little bit longer than it usually would be today, but I feel like everything in there is just really important points to make to help people get used to mute. Please let us know in the comments what you thought, if you enjoyed the longer format, or if you know you'd rather we stick to the between 5 and 10 minutes. It's not going to be the norm, so I just thought I'd give it a go. Thanks again for watching, we appreciate all the support. Please hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you hit the little bell icon, then you're going to get all the notifications as well. Otherwise, hopefully you've seen something that's going to help you and your team say enough is enough and stop being that easy kill. We'll see you next time.